I'm about to go to the greatest rodeo on the face of the earth. The Red, White, and Blue Festival's rodeo in Arkansas is one of the biggest events of the year. It's so fun to watch and you never know what's really gonna happen. But when you go to a rodeo, there are some proper rules that you need to abide by. At a rodeo, you probably won't be very respected if you don't wear the appropriate attire. I know most people would go for the modern farmer outfit, cause where I live, it's very popular. It includes a simple t-shirt, beat up jeans, and you're probably not a farmer if you're not wearing that cap you've owned for 20 years still on your head. And even though I'm a farmer myself, I like to go places in style, and people will always respect you at a rodeo if you look like a cowboy. So I changed into my appropriate attire, which was a cowboy shirt, some nice jeans, a cowboy hat, and Air Jordan 1s, which immediately Mom and Dad pointed out that they didn't go with my outfit, leaving me with cousin hand-me-down cowboy boots. Special thanks to cousin Riker for getting me these. I still think the cowboy/Jordans could have been new age though. When we got to the rodeo, the first thing we saw and where most people were at was the fair. The fair is nothing special, just your normal kind of rides that you see in almost any county fairground. But what is really special is the rodeo. We quickly found a seat and watched the pre-show, which was mutton busting. Most of the kids were your typical mutton busters, falling off the second they get out or just holding on for dear life. But there was one kid who happens to be
the #1 sheep rider in the state of Arkansas.
We were definitely surprised with his performance. He's even using one hand like you're supposed to, with a toy gun in it. He was certainly the greatest mutton buster I've ever seen. But in the middle of mutton busting, they had a problem. The rodeo ran out of sheep and still had a few more kids, and the rodeo people couldn't get the sheep back into where they were supposed to be to get the kids on. But that wasn't the worst of it. It got worse when the sheep got out. That was a whole process in itself. They even brung a dog to try to herd them, and that didn't quite work either. But eventually, they pushed all the sheep into the corral. Psych! They actually ended up lassoing and moving the sheep over one by one. But after that fiasco, it was time for the rodeo sponsorship flag show, which was every one of the rodeo sponsors had their logo on a flag carried by horses. And after that, the famous Arkansas Chicks and Spurs did some trick riding. They did a lot of great riding, but I think my favorite part is when they put their flags on fire. This rodeo is really full of American spirit. But next up was one of my favorite parts of the rodeo, bronc riding. The broncs this year were meaner than I've ever seen them before. I'm telling you, they had an extra spring in their step. There was only one guy who actually made it off unharmed, but the others, well, not so much. After the first part of bronc riding, it was time for the rest of the sponsors to show their flags. And after they trotted around for a while, it was time for the calf roping. And it was disappointing. The first part of calf roping was the rider just had to lasso the calf and that was it. But the thing was, nobody lassoed the calf. This guy was one of the few people who actually lassoed a calf. The rest of them just missed. But that was okay, because the second part of calf roping was very entertaining. As you saw, the rules of calf roping 2 are a little bit different. After they lasso the calf, they have to tie the calf's legs for their time to stop. And what makes this so entertaining? If I'm gonna be honest, it's the whiplash. And sometimes the calf is bigger than the roper itself. I bet they're sore after throwing that thing down. But after that was done, bronc riding came back once again. There was only 3 more people who did it. My favorite was this very unlucky guy. He actually made it all the way to 8 seconds. But when he went to get off his horse, he didn't make it. But probably the people's favorite was this little girl. She was doing awesome at riding. Whoever taught her how to do this must be very proud. Okay, after bronc riding was over, you might be wondering why all these kids are jumping into the arena. Well, the rodeo lets out some calves with some ribbons tied to their tails. If any of the 12-year-olds or younger grabs a ribbon, they get $10. And $10 at that age is like winning the lottery. Almost every kid in the stands was in there, and once all of them were lined up in place, they let them loose. I feel really sorry for those calves. As I said, you never know what's gonna happen at this rodeo. I didn't see this at first, but after watching this film a few times, I found a collision. This is definitely my favorite part of the rodeo so far. But once they got all the kids back to their parents, which took a while, it was time for barrel racing, which is not that much different than any other barrel racing you see at other rodeos. But after barrel racing, something else happened that doesn't happen at very many rodeos. All of a sudden, a big flashy truck comes into the arena. And with it, a herd of sheep and some collies. And on those collies are real capuchin monkeys. I am not kidding you, those are real monkeys riding dogs that are herding sheep. They're even dressed up as little cowboys with hats in their hands. I've never seen this displayed anywhere else in my entire life. I would have never believed it if I wasn't there. I know it's hard to see, but this is as far as the camera zoomed in. I still can't get over how awesome it is. The monkeys and dogs then herded the sheep into a box, and then, this is not even the best part, herded them onto the top of the flashy truck. Don't ask me how they taught sheep how to do this. And then drove away with the sheep still on top of the truck. Wow, so cool. Next up was team roping. Some of these guys were pretty good, but team roping didn't last long because the last but definitely not least event was the bull riding, and they were capital A aggressive. It's really a mystery what fuels these people to ride really angry bulls. I have to say, this has been the greatest rodeo I have ever been to. If you agree, like this video. And maybe click on another video, because if you don't, one of those bulls will come in the night and trample you. Thank you for watching. That's a farm.